So, benefit fraud. Recorder Judge Patrick Harrington QC said that benefit fraud is rife and costs the honest, hard-working people a lot of money. According to figures from the Department of Work and Pensions, 183.5 billion was spent on all benefit payments in Britain in 2018 to 2019. And around about 2.3 billion of this was overpaid due to fraud, which is roughly 1.2% of the amount spent. So, benefit fraud, that's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode of Around the World Today, here on Real Terrier Radio Podcasts.
Podcasts brought to you by Real Terrier Radio. Around the World Today here on Real Terrier Radio.
Hello and welcome to Around the World Today, Series 2, Episode 10, Benefit Fraud. I believe this is entitled, and you're listening to me, Terry Davis, and yeah, so Recorder Judge Patrick Harrington QC said recently, when summing up a case, that benefit fraud is rife and costs the honest, hard-working people a lot of money. Well, not only the honest, hard-working people, because if we go back to austerity, we were told that there was no money in the coppers. You know, there was no money for the benefit system that we had before, so we had to make cuts to the benefit system. Okay, but then we also had to make cuts to other systems, such as, you know, disability allowance, what's part of it, or, you know, carers, day centres for disabled people. Now, when you look at the figure, and it's around about £2.3 billion that has been overspent due to fraud. So when they say overspent due to fraud, they mean benefit fraud. You know, someone's claiming money from the state who doesn't actually deserve it. Yeah, it's a small 1.2%, but think of it in the bigger picture. So, you know, 183.5 billion is spent out in benefits a year. However, out of that money, 2.3 billion is wasted, is given to people that don't need that money. So, you know, the bigger sum of 183.5 would be slightly lower, meaning that 2.3 billion would be able to go somewhere else, would be able to be spent on other things such as disability centres, you know, day centres for disabled people, books for schools, and libraries. So, yeah, maybe I should now tell you about the topic. So, I was talking with some people about benefit fraud because, you know, all I keep seeing lately in the news, benefit fraud, benefit cheat, report benefit fraud, and, you know, and I've been seeing it since, about 2010, actually. You know, we always told to report benefit fraud, and yes, you should. Do you know what I mean? If someone is claiming money that they do not deserve, Especially if you think about it, right? I heard a story back in 2013, right about June, and I was reading a story about a school governor who narrowly escaped going to jail because she used her son's disability for her not to be able to go to jail. Now, she was claiming benefit fraud of this for 30 years before. Now, it may not sound much money, but 30 years. Can you imagine what 30 years of 2.3 billion adds up to if you're claiming, if everyone was claiming this and the figure stayed the same? Now, obviously, it's going to add up to more than the figure that we pay on a yearly system. So what actually it means is, for 30 years, where that 2.3 billion, if the figure was the same, was claiming that this took money away from disability adult training centres, education, the NHS. It took money away from the police. It took money away from, every public service that, is run by us, for us, out of our tax money. That's what happens when a person commits benefit fraud. Yes, you have a choice, in the way I see it, and if you are making choices to go out and commit a crime, well, the choice that you're making is kind of, the wrong choice. Because, yes, it doesn't seem like a victimless crime. However, I would argue that it really is a victim crime. You're not, just because you don't know the person that you're penalising, actually, you are committing a crime against every taxpayer in the country who knowingly pays taxes in. Even the vulnerable pay tax. So you are ripping off taxpayers. So you are committing... There are many, many different victims of this crime. Just because it's the DWP, there are many different victims of this crime that you are ripping off. There are disability centres that had no funding because you are ripping them off. Education establishments. But the point I'm trying to make is benefit fraud is wrong. And I've been reading a story about a lottery winner, and this is what got us talking about benefit fraud, who, the lottery winner, the Gran, who went on a luxury holiday, and other shocking benefit cheats. Between them, they canned hundreds of thousands of pounds from the public purse. Now, the public purse in the UK is our tax exchequer. It's money that the taxpayers are paying. So, yes, it's quite wrong, just to say the least. I read one about a carer who claimed nearly £30,000 despite owning 4 properties. Or, even better, so the defendant, Connie Taylor, 64, from Pembroke Dock, admitted in one count of benefit fraud. How much did she falsely claim? Well, she falsely claimed £27,694 in employment and support allowance between December 2012 and June 2017. Well, at the end of the day, that's £27,000, 694, that could have gone to her local community, education, children's services, the NHS. That could have employed a nurse, a basic nurse, for a year. That could have employed someone to work within the council as a play worker. That could have provided about 6 different places. Actually, no. 3 places at university for students from low-income backgrounds. And that's worked out at the Welsh tuition fee. So the prosecution failed to disclose, or the prosecution case was that Taylor failed to disclose £30,000 of income from a rental properties, and that she owned the 4 properties in the first place. In mitigation, so what she said was she declined a formal interview with the DWP, the Department of Work and Pensions, following poor advice. Okay, that's great. Poor advice. Let's, go and get a solicitor. She was in the process of selling off one of her properties to pay her debts. That's great, isn't it? Now, this person was given an 8-month prison sentence and suspended for 8 months. So basically, she didn't go to jail and she got a suspended sentence, this lady. And it goes back to what I said about another topic, about the first story of me hearing about that school governor from 2013, who also got a suspended 12-month sentence, but, never actually served a day in jail. At the end of the day, if you're able to go out and steal money from the taxpayer of this country, the honest, as the judge said, the honest, hard-working people of this country, but not only them, the vulnerable in society, then the question you need to ask yourself is, why? How do you feel? You're going to need the NHS in your time. How do you feel when you're seeing queues of people? Like I said, that could have paid for a junior nurse's salary for a year. So that's 1 extra nurse in A&E on a Saturday night. Or 1 extra nurse in an operating theatre. Now, it may not sound everything, but like I said, add the bigger picture to the 3.2 billion. How many nurses? How many doctors could that buy us? How much prescription drugs? How many fire engines, fire officers, firefighters, ambulance personnel, police officers could that money put on the street? At the end of the day, if you're unable to work, there is a system in place for you. Now, we have another case. So this one is from a couple from Newport. Now, they're estimated they were overpaid by 25,000. Once again, it's quite close to a yearly salary for a junior nurse, or a teacher, a play worker. The prosecution's case was that the couple failed to tell the authorities they had inherited nearly £150,000 between them. Really great. You are meant to tell people. In mitigation, Daniel, they said that they thought that the savings threshold was lower than it was, and he had given some money to his children. Well, they repaid the amount in full, so there was no loss to the taxpayer. But there was a loss to the taxpayer. Well, yes, they paid it in full afterwards, right, when it was brought to their attention. But if they had admitted to, having the money, the £150,000, we would have not paid them the money in the first place. And then you forget that there are court costs. So someone has to pay for the court costs. And 9 times out of 10, these people apply for legal aid. So then someone has to pay for those costs. So there was a bigger cost to the taxpayer. Someone has to pay to bring the prosecution. They were given a 24-week suspended sentence for 18 months, plus 20 hours of rehabilitation activity and 180 hours unpaid work each. All right, great work on the unpaid work each. However, some of them take it to mean volunteering. Personally, I have a view on people who are being made to do community service as part of a punishment, and they should be cleaning up motorways in big yellow jackets. But, you know, that's another thing. So then we've got the grandmother who illegally claimed £40,000 and spent it on luxury holidays. Do you know something? It would be lovely to go on a luxury or any holiday. The last holiday I had was in 2015. Anyway. Now this defendant, Ghislaine Thomas, 55, of Bargoed, admitted to 3 counts of benefit fraud. That's 3 counts. Now this one, this one, we could afford a junior doctor. She claimed £41,350. I know, shocking, isn't it? Now, she got employment and support allowance, housing benefit, and council tax reduction. Wouldn't it have just been easier if she wanted all that money to go and do a degree? She would have got a council tax for free. The prosecution's case was that Thomas told the authorities that she was living alone, but her partner was actually living with her and contributing to the household income. She used the money to fund a number of luxury holidays to destinations such as Egypt, for the both of them, mind. So we were paying for her and her partner, who was working and contributing the income to the household, to go to Egypt. Isn't that lovely? Like I said, it would be lovely to go on a holiday, wouldn't it? In mitigation, the court heard that she was ashamed, thoroughly ashamed of her offending. I'm sorry, but they all say that. They all say they're ashamed. No, what they mean is that they're ashamed by the fact that they've been caught. She had no shame when she was going to Egypt on the taxpayers' money, did she? Anyway, she was sentenced to 12 months imprisonment, suspended for 2 years. Now, the problem I've got is that most benefits cheats sentences are suspended. Hasn't it now come time that sentencing guidelines for benefit cheats were actually increased, and that they were made to serve at least half of the sentence before we give them the community service tariff? Anyway, in summing this case up, back to Recorded Judge Patrick Harrington QC said that benefit fraud is rife and costs the honest, hard-working people a lot of money. During the Proceeds of Crime Act hearing, it was found that she had £6,500 available and was ordered to pay the amount back within 3 months. So that's the money that she had taken. Another case is a couple falsely claiming £50,000 by posing as a landlord and tenant. The defendant, they were both from Barry, One is 58 and his name's Leon Harris. And he admitted by one count of benefit fraud to his missus. She's 56. And they lived at the same address. They admitted 3 accounts of benefit fraud. How much in total? The pair received £47,111 between August 2013 and November 2017 in benefits that they weren't entitled to. They both signed a form to say that Harris was the landlord and Perrette was the tenant. The couple went on a free holidays together while they were claiming the cash. That's free holidays now on the taxpayer. Like I said, back to the last one. It would be lovely to go on holiday. 2015 my last holiday was, and we're now in 2019, so it was 4 years ago. Now, in mitigation, the pair were repaying the overpayment in monthly instalments. That's great. At least they are still working, aren't they, and paying the money off. But they're not really being punished, are they? Yes, they're paying the money back, but they're not being punished because the couple were sentenced to a 12-month prison sentence, suspended for 20 months. Oh, and Perrette was also ordered to undertake 20 sessions of rehabilitation activities, and Harris was ordered to undertake 150 hours unpaid work. How about the former police community support officer who claimed £12,000 in disability benefits while working as a carer? Susie Aubrey, 40, from Penarth, admitted to 1 count of benefit fraud. The defendant falsely claimed £12,829.53 in personal independent payments between July 2015 and October 2017. The former PCSO fraudulently claimed disability benefits by stating that she struggled to walk while she was working as a professional carer. Care assistant Susie Webley posted photographs on her Facebook of herself horse riding and ice skating after stating on a claim form that she needed help to wash, cook and dress herself. Mitigation: the mum of 2 had no previous convictions and her claim was not fraudulent from the start. Okay, so she got better and didn't tell them. The sentence: Welby was given a 12-month community order requiring her to complete 100 hours of unpaid work and 25 days rehabilitation activity. She must pay £85 in costs and £85 victim surcharge. Now, considering the victim is every taxpayer in the United Kingdom, does that mean that every taxpayer in the United Kingdom is about to get £85 from this woman? I very much doubt it. She had to pay back £150 and agreed to pay back the rest at £30 a month. How about the fake lottery winner, postcode lottery winner, continued to claim 20,000 after his windfall of 166,066 whatever. He was from Swansea as well. I know, shocking, innit? Eric Barrows, from Oak Drive in Swansea, admitted to 5 counts of benefit fraud. 5 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How much did he claim, hey? £20,157.65. Am I the only one seeing here, that this money that people are claiming falsely is a tad wrong? Do you know what I mean? In mitigation, when interviewed by investigators, he accepted that he had won the lottery, but said he did not declare it because he regarded the cash as family money and not his own. Okay, this one was jailed for 24 weeks by Judge Keith Thomas, who described offending as a deliberate and determined fraud which took funds from an already stretched public purse. Now, Judge Keith Thomas, he likes to send benefit frauds to jail. And I applaud him for that. Because he is actually doing his job. How about the benefit fraud? And I believe this is it's 67,000? This one? While taking holidays to the Canary Islands? Can you see what it's getting like now? Do you know what I mean? This is money that's come out of the exchequer, and they're all in Welsh, and this is another one in Swansea. So I've given you 3 stories, one about someone I know, and this. The defendant, Hen Williams, 52, from Llangaddelach Road in Swansea, admitted to 3 counts of failing to notify a change in circumstances and 1 count of fraud. She claimed that £66,701.66 in income support, housing benefit and council tax benefit to which she was not entitled. The prosecution's case was that the defendant was taking several holidays a year to the Canaries while claiming tens of thousands of pounds in benefits she was not entitled to. For almost 6 years, Williams claims benefits as a single woman, despite being married, living with her husband, having a joint bank account, and going on exotic holidays with her husband. In mitigation, the court heard that the defendant, who was a carer for her parents, was thoroughly ashamed of herself. She was given a 9 months jail sentence, suspended for 2 years. She's repaying the money at £103 per month, a rate of which she means it will be more than 50 years before all of the money is repaid. So, there's a problem there, isn't there, really? 50 years before the money gets back? That's 50 years without the exchequer having the money. Oh. How about benefit treat? Claimed another 18,000 in fraudulent payments. This is a mum, 29, from Barry. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of benefit fraud. She was claiming £17,923.13 through income support and housing benefit between February 2016 and March 2018. Well, it was only 2 years, thank God. The prosecution's case was that the mum of 3 failed to tell authorities that she was living with her partner. You know, it's quite easy. You phone up the DWP and you say, I wish to make a change. Even in today's system, if you're on universal credit, you can make a change online yourself. In mitigation, the court heard that this woman didn't tell the authorities about her partner had moved in because their relationship was casual to begin with, and he would often move between her house and living with his relatives. Davis was given a 20-week prison sentence, suspended for 12 months in order to complete 15 days of unpaid work. The district judge who heard the case, Bonfan Jenkins, and I do apologise if I got the name wrong, so it's Bonfan Jenkins. People like you who take from the public and those who need it have no excuse. It's simply greed. I agree. It is greed. How about a welder who claimed £60,000 in disability benefits while visiting friends in Tenerife? you know, he was come from Cwmbran. Brent Jones, 45, from Winston Park in Cwmbran, admitted to 3 counts of benefit fraud. How much did he take? Well, £62,000, just over a 3-year period for employment and support allowance. There are certainly the same kind of benefits thrown up and it's the old legacy benefits by the look of it that are throwing up the problems. So employment and support allowance is one of those benefits that hasn't really changed. Prosecution's case was that the self-employed welder had been claiming he needed help to wash, dress and eat, and then travelled to Tenerife to visit friends. The claim was not fraudulent from the start. He had told investigators, "When I made the claim, I was in a bad way." His counsel said he was working and repaying plan was put in place last year. He had paid back £330.40 at the time of the sentence. That's nice. Not much, really, considering he owes £62,000. Jones was sentenced to 12 months prison sentence, suspended for 18 months. He was ordered to carry out 100 hours of unpaid work and pay £400 in costs. So he's paid half of the a fourth of the costs. Recorder Timothy Barnum QC said, "You continued through your greed to claim money to which you are not entitled. You spent it on other things like trips to see your friends in Tenerife." There are... Okay, one last story for today. A mum of 3 swindled £20,000 while working in council benefits department. This is the best. She was working for a benefits department. So she's from Birchgrove in Cardiff. She pleaded guilty to being involved in fraudulent activity, making a false representation to obtain benefits and dishonestly failing to notify a change in circumstance. The offence took place between 2013 and 2016, which with the total benefit overpayment coming to £20,492. The prosecution's case was quite easy because the defendant was employed in the benefits department of Cardiff Council and falsely claimed by failing to tell the authorities she was living with her partner. She was living with her partner while claiming housing benefit and working tax credit on the basis that she was living alone as a single mum. And working in the office, probably, in the benefits department that paid her council tax. In mitigation, when asked why she did this, she said she had continued to claim benefits illegally. She said that she knew it was wrong, but felt she had no option as her partner was not providing for her. Then kick him out! Do you know what I mean? Don't go around committing crimes. Kick him out. Do it lawfully. So the sentence. She was sentenced to 24 weeks imprisonment, suspended for 18 months. She was ordered to carry out 100 hours unpaid work, complete 6 days rehabilitation activity required, and to pay £300 costs. Judge Tracy Lloyd Clark said, "You were working for a benefits section of Cardiff Council, so you were aware of what you were doing." My argument is she should have been given the non-suspended sentence part and the custodial. But they enter some of the stories of what has been going on here in Wales with benefit fraud. So, to sum up, I've given you some cases, different cases from different parts here where I live in Wales, and I've also told you a story of someone I know personally that is known to Real Ontario as well. Anyway, benefit fraud. Now, how? What is it? Well, you can commit benefit fraud by claiming benefits that you're not entitled to, on the purpose, for example, by not reporting a change in your circumstances or providing false information. The guide is also available. Sorry, I'm reading from a website and I was about to read you that the guide is also available in Welsh or in Cymraeg. What happens if you suspect someone? Well, personally, I say that as a citizen, and if you're a law-abiding citizen and you suspect someone is committing benefit fraud, well, you should contact the Department of Work and Pensions, the HM Customs or Revenue, or the Service and Pension Personnel and Veterans Agency, or your local authority. You know, if you suspect fraud, you should report it like any crime. It is a crime. Your benefit may be stopped while you're being investigated. You'll get a letter telling you about this. You know. You may be visited by fraud investigation officers. I would love that job. Or asked to attend an interview to talk about your claim. This is called an interview under caution, so you will be read a caution. FIOs will gather the facts, so that's fraud investigation officer will gather the facts of the case and decide whether to take further action. If you're asked to an interview under caution, is a formal interview that often is recorded, and it could become part of a criminal investigation against you. Get any advice you can from a legal advisor or solicitor. You can also help get information from your local Citizens Advice Bureau. What happens next after the benefit fraud investigation? Well, if you've committed or attempted fraud on more of the following, may also happen. You'll be told to pay back the overpaid amount of money, so the money that you weren't entitled to in the first place, you will be told to pay it back, and you will be paying it back. You may be taken to court or asked to pay a penalty between £350 and £5,000. Your benefits, should you be claiming, like, you know, if you're claiming carer's allowance, but you're also claiming universal credit to live or housing benefit, these could be reduced or even stopped in some cases. You could end up losing your benefits if you're convicted of benefit fraud. Quite understandably, because, you know, at the end of the day, it is a trust thing, isn't it? Why should the government give you money if you've been defrauding them? You know, your boss wouldn't, in a real world situation, if you were working for a company and you were defrauding that company money, so if you were working for RBS Bank, right, and you were defrauding the money from RBS Bank, they're no longer going to keep you on when they find out about the fraud, are they? They're not going to pay you again. However, being the government, they can only do it for a 3-year period if you're convicted of benefit fraud, and the amount of time that they stopped for depends on how many times you've committed the fraud. Only certain benefits can be reduced or stopped. These are called sanctionable benefits. But if you commit fraud on a benefit that cannot be reduced or stopped, your other benefits can be reduced instead. So there's a catch-22 there, isn't there? Sanctional benefits are carers allowance, employment and support allowance, housing benefit, incapacity benefit, income support. Oh, industrial death benefit. I've never heard of that. Industrial industry disbandment benefit. Disablement, benefit. Industrial injuries reduced earnings allowance. Industrial injuries retirement allowance. Industrial injuries unemployability settlement. Job seekers allowance. Do they still have that? Severe disablement allowance. Pension credit. Universal credit. War disbandment pension. War widows pension. War pension unemployability settlement. War pension allowance for lower standard of occupation. Widowed mother parents allowance. Widow's pension bereavement allowance. And working tax credit. Benefits that cannot be stopped, reduced or stopped are the following. The following benefits cannot be reduced or stopped: attendance allowance, bereavement payments, bereavement support payments, child benefit, child tax credits, Christmas bonus, disability living allowance, guaranteed retirement benefit, guardian's allowance, industrial injuries consistent attendance allowance, where a disablement payment is payable. Industrial injuries are extraordinary severe disablement allowance, where a disablement pension is payable. Personal independence payment, state pension, social fund payments, war pension construct attendance allowance, war pension extraordinary severe disablement allowance, and war pension mobility. Exceptions are maternity pay, statutory adoption pay, statutory maternity pay, statutory paternity pay, and statutory sick pay. So, yeah, there is what they say. Now, you can report benefit fraud in the UK anywhere, and I'm sure you can do it all over the world, because it is a cancer that needs to be ripped out. As a doctor would say, people, you need to rip out the cancer. And the cancer, in this case, are people claiming money from the taxpayer that they're not entitled to, especially when the government have been cutting taxpayers' budgets. So the NHS budget, transport budgets, education. When it comes to education, it's our children. It's our children's children and our children's children's children. The same with the NHS. You go and have a baby, it's our children. You want the NHS to look after your children. You want the NHS to look after you. You want the NHS to look after your parents and your grandparents. And if you're lucky enough, your great-grandparents. But they're unable to do this because people have been claiming money they're not entitled to and spending it like happily as Larry. So that's benefit fraud. Back to the governor. She got community service. She was made to pay back the money. No jail time, but a suspended sentence. Why? Because she used the excuse that if she had to go to jail, there'd be no one to look after her severely disabled son. I'm sorry, but you didn't think about him when you were taking money away from budgets such as disability benefits, day centres, education. You were a school governor. You didn't, think about the children who you were meant to be looking after, because you were stealing money that could have went into their books, could have went and bought them stationery, could have went to buy them a new computer for the school. You weren't thinking of their education. You were predominantly thinking of yourself. And like all benefits cheats, that's what they do. The judge's comments that I have read to you, what the judges are saying, what the judiciary is saying here is right. You are taking money from the most hardest people in society who are working and paying tax. Now, everyone in society pays tax. You pay VAT. You pay... Do you know what I mean? You buy something like a bottle of pop. There's a tax on there now, a sugar tax. You know, that money goes into a system and goes back into the government and then is redistributed into budgets. Do you know what I mean? You're taking money away from the honest tax-paying person. But you have no guilt about this. Because you're still living the lifestyle you were living before. And most of these benefit cheats are still doing that. If you've ever been affected or know someone who's committed benefit fraud, please do get in touch. You can write below if you're listening on our website, or you can visit our new Facebook group, and the link is on the Around the World Today podcast section here on realterrio.com. On our podcast section, just go in and click on it, or you can search for it, Around the World Today, or you can go to our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/realterrio, and then click on Around the World Today podcast, where you can, click in and you can have a little chat and tell me your thoughts. I hope you're all well, and thank you for tuning in. Remember, guys, you can follow us on Twitter. It's @RealTerrio. Your Instagram @RealTerrio again. I've given you the Facebook, but again, facebook.com/RealTerrio. Visit our website, realterrio.com. And I will see you in about 3 weeks' time for episode 11. We're going to be talking about, on the next episode, Welsh independence. Is it actually right? And actually, no, it's not in 3 weeks, it's next week. Yeah, sorry, we've changed the schedule a bit. But yeah, it's going to be next week. I can't wait to have this discussion because I've been finding so much out in my family history and I want to share it with you guys. And it's to do with Welsh independence, so it should be a great episode. Remember to go and check our other podcasts out. You can listen to them again on YouTube or on our website or on any of the platforms that we're on. Have a great evening and thank you once again for tuning in. Good night. Or goodbye, or good afternoon, wherever you're listening. Bye-bye.
By Real Terrio Radio. Around the world today here on Real Terrio Radio.